Monkey D. Luffy and Buggy the Clown. What do those two have in common? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, for one, those are number 1 and 2 on my list of biggest menaces in the One Piece world. I think all of these should be pretty self-explanatory, so I won't even explain. But again, that's not really the point of this video, because again, the point of this video is to talk about just how beautiful of a friendship they actually have. Like again, I am currently going through One Piece, making my way through Marineford, and I just got to see this beautiful act of friendship right here. Like, words cannot even describe what exactly is happening here. But I will briefly try and describe this, because essentially you had Mihawk here decide he wanted to go rogue and be like, okay, I am just going to try and kill Luffy. I need to take him out here and now, which obviously upset me as a Luffy supporter, because I felt betrayed after all the times I glazed Mihawk in just his character design. Like, look at his character design.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Look at his eyes. These are beautiful eyes. Are they beautiful? I don't know. They're at least cool eyes. But imagine how betrayed I felt after all that glazing I had done when he decided to all of a sudden try and kill my boy Luffy.
This is the worst.
Like, Mihawk forgot the script. You are a warlord of the sea. You're not supposed to care about this actual war. Like, you got Doflamingo here doing whatever this is. But again, I definitely got off topic. Anyway, Mihawk decided I am going to try and kill Luffy. And the thing is, he was about to kill Luffy. But again, this is where Luffy's friend Buggy came in extremely helpful, because it's like Buggy came as a divine gift from the gods or something like that. Your sacrifice will not go in vain. And he grabs this guy out of the air, uses him as a human shield. But Buggy did get a little upset with Luffy because he was like, how could you do this to me?
You know how much I sacrificed?
To which Luffy was like, you should be getting upset with Mihawk here. Because again, Mihawk betrayed all of us. I will never forget this betrayal.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
But regardless, after turning Buggy into a human shield, he's like, hey, have some fun. And he just launches Buggy at Mihawk to be like, he's your problem now. But again, the point of this video is not even to talk about whatever is happening here, although it was a beautiful moment. But rather, it was this moment that reminded me of the beautiful way Luffy and Buggy's relationship first began, which we gotta go all the way back to June 2nd, 1944, which is a date I just made up because, again, I don't even know the One Piece calendar system. But we have to go all the way back to the East Blue, to the second One Piece arc, Orange Town. Now again, Orange Town, beautiful place. Fully understand why Buggy took it over. Like, I don't even blame him for that. Like, sure, was it a good thing he did? Absolutely not. But it's hard to come across affordable real estate in the East Blue, with inflation and things like that kicking in. So again, I don't blame him for that. But regardless, Buggy was living the life in the East Blue. He had an entire town to himself and his pirate crew. He was getting wealthy. He had all sorts of prime real estate. And the best part of it all, the world government was like, not really my problem. I just know how pissed I would be if I was a tax-paying citizen of the East Blue. Because I'm like, where are my tax-paying dollars going to? You know where they're probably going to? So again, life was good in the East Blue for Buggy. He had it all. But this is of course when a natural disaster would come, that of course being Luffy here. Now Luffy would arrive in very Luffy fashion. He would just be flying through the air in the mouth of a bird. Again, with any other character, that seems completely insane. With Luffy, I'm like, that makes sense actually. But you have Buggy and his pirates, and they're looking at this strange creature in the sky, and they're like,
what is that?
Now again, if I was there, or some sort of sensible Buggy pirate was there, maybe they would have had the sense to be like, hey, let's leave that alone. Like, if life brings you a crazy guy flying in the mouth of a bird, maybe avoid him. Like, that is not an adventure we need. But Buggy must have known something was up. He must have known Luffy was his destiny, because he's like, fire at that bird.
The prophecy is true.
And sure enough, he fires at that bird. It hits Luffy. He comes tumbling down into Orange Town. Luffy enters a shocking amount of places, falling from the sky. Again, this is a man who has no flying ability, none whatsoever, and yet he falls from the sky way too many times. For context, one time is too many times. Like again, how did he arrive in Marineford? Well, like Luffy, this is not a normal way to enter a place, okay? This is good. I don't know what this is.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Where did you get the idea that this was an appropriate way to enter a place. Anyway though, Luffy of course comes tumbling down into Orange Town, and he immediately makes his presence known. He actually landed right in front of Nami. She immediately is just like, I am going to throw you under the bus, Luffy, okay? You will die. Now she made one big mistake by calling Luffy boss, so the Buggy Pirates chasing her would attack him instead of her. But again, the reason I think this is a mistake is because I am 90% convinced to this day that Luffy got confused and he's like, oh okay, I guess she's part of the crew now. So Nami was basically the one that accidentally joined his crew. But yes, after Nami threw him under the bus and he survived, she's like, how can I throw him under the bus yet again? So she ties him up. And again, Luffy had to stand there the entire time while Nami tied him up. Only after he was fully tied up was he like, why did you tie me up? Again, this right here is peak survival instincts. It does not get better than this. But of course, Nami takes a tied up Luffy to Buggy, and this is when they officially meet, and Buggy at least has the good sense to lock this man away in a cell. But then again, if I learned anything from Impel Down, if you put Luffy into a cell, he will find a way out and cause maximum possible chaos. Now again, the more time Buggy spends in the presence of Luffy, the more he kind of realizes this man is truly insane. I have seen plenty of insane people. You are whatever lies even beyond insanity.
I enjoy destroying lives.
Buggy at least had the common sense to be like, I better kill you here and now. So he pointed a cannon at Luffy. Now, of course, you know, some stuff happens. Zoro turns up. A fight takes place. And this is where I should have known Buggy and Luffy were meant to be friends, because we see Buggy also has a devil fruit power. In fact, Buggy is the second devil fruit user we see in the series after Luffy. They were destined to meet. Now, Luffy does have one of the most Luffy reactions where he thinks Buggy is some kind of freak for having devil fruit abilities. Luffy eventually escapes. So after Luffy escapes, he decides to beat up Buggy's lion. Again, this was kind of the start of his animal abuse reputation. He then decides he's going to go back to Buggy, insult him like he says some wild things to him.
What the actual f did you just say to me right now?
All I'm saying is Luffy might have gone a little far with that. But Luffy and Buggy start fighting, and Luffy isn't really taking this seriously at all. I think Luffy just can't get past the fact he is actually fighting a clown.
Rated by One Family Magazine, #1 clown, 9 straight years.
Which is actually kind of crazy because Buggy nearly stabs Luffy multiple times. But you know what he does stab? Luffy's hat, which really pisses off Luffy, which, you know, if Luffy isn't a problem when he's normal, when he gets upset, you're not gonna like him. But then of course Luffy here is quickly like, Shanks gave me that hat, and Buggy decides to go into his whole long sob story about how Shanks ruined his life. And again, this was yet another sign Buggy and Luffy are destined to be friends because they both accidentally ate their devil fruits because of Shanks. And again, Buggy is basically pouring all of his emotion into this story. He's like, Luffy, I need you to know how bad of a guy Shanks is. He ruined my life, okay? Buggy gets to the end of this story and you just have this guy making this face, and you know what Luffy's first reaction is after hearing all that stuff about Shanks? He's like, Shanks really is a great guy, isn't he? Like again, Luffy heard Buggy's entire story and he's like, Shanks is awesome, I'm glad you told me. Anyway, they continue to fight, and at this point it is just a clear beatdown. Like Luffy just violates this clown. Because at one point, Buggy is stupid enough to split his body in half. He flies with his upper half after Nami, who's trying to steal some of his treasure. But again, you gotta be careful around this guy. You gotta be careful around Luffy. Because this man, this menace Luffy, turns around, looks at Buggy's lower half, and I'm like, no. Okay, whatever is about to happen, I know I'm gonna feel bad for Buggy. Like, Luffy, don't do anything too drastic, but sure enough, this man Luffy decides to do this. Again, Luffy, is there no depths you won't sink to? Like, kicking Buggy in the Buggy balls was too far, or so I thought. Because then Luffy starts committing other war crimes on Buggy's lower half. Like, what does this man do? He starts tickling Buggy's feet, which again, might be the strangest move I've seen Luffy pull out in a fight, and this is a guy who does all sorts of wacky things in fights. Like, why did you start tickling his feet? I get it, Buggy's ticklish, but why? Anyway, he does some other stuff, but this fight for the most part is just a beatdown. But then we get to the final point of this first encounter between Buggy and Luffy, where after Buggy split up all of his body parts, Nami is able to catch them, and then we just have this sorry state of Buggy right here. And again, the way Luffy looked at this man is the way he looks at food. Like, you could tell he was like, this is gonna be fun. And he just absolutely smokes this guy Buggy. Now again, I thought it was implied Buggy would have been smacked into the ocean and he would have died. Now of course he didn't die, but I'm just saying probability wise, like Luffy just smacked him somewhere, he didn't know where he would go. Luffy probably thought like, hey, when I smack you, you're dead. But no, this man Buggy was like, I want to reunite with Luffy, and sure enough, he reunited with him, you know, by nearly executing him in Logtown, which, I guess you could say it was the start of their spectacular friendship. Luffy left such an impression on Buggy, he was like, I will follow Luffy through the Grand Line. But yeah, just thinking back on how Luffy and Buggy first met each other, it is just insane. Anyway though, what do you think about this? And if you want to see more, please like and follow.